little
This is
crack.
Adam Gorney continuing the Rivals signing day coverage here with Juju Lewis, 5-star quarterback. His father, TC Lewis, good football player himself, but not a 5-star. I don't remember. So, you happy it's all over now, TC? Like, what are the thoughts now that he's signed and delivered and ready to go?
I'm thankful, to have completed the process. Definitely glad that it's over with. The more I've thought about it, I've really had the opportunity to appreciate accelerating it and kind of removing that year. Jew and I, like, some days we see social media, we're like, holy cow, like, can you imagine still going on visits and getting ready to play 7-on-7 right now? I'm like, man, I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, I say it's like the best year of your life and you never want to do it again. Like, I tell parents that all the time. It's like,
Yep.
one and done is fine with me. What did you guys learn from the recruiting process? Like, early commitment, decommit, go to Colorado. Is there any regrets of doing that or not? Or how do you kind of handle and think about it now that it's in the rearview mirror?
No, I mean, for us, I think it went exactly, how we hoped it would go. Fortunately enough, Julian was blessed to have, numerous opportunities, and, even towards the end there, we were looking at some other options potentially.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the opportunity to come to Colorado and kind of, and in a sense, kind of pave his own way, kind of like carve out his own path, kind of similar to what we did at Colorado. I mean, at Carrollton, like when you really look back on it, Julian going to Carrollton wasn't one of the Georgia powerhouses, like that kind of thing. It wasn't the school. Oh, everybody's like, oh, Carrollton. No, it was Grayson, Buford, the Lee counties of the world, all those other schools. And for us, it was like, hey, like, we're going to go do this. And next thing you know, by the time it was over with Carrollton, top 10 nationally ranked team, all the other things that happened. So, I mean, we've never been one to really follow, just kind of do it our way.
What was it like meeting Deion Sanders for the first time? And obviously, his history and but then starting to get to say, hey, maybe I could play for this guy. Maybe he is going to stay at Colorado. Maybe this is all going to work out together. What was that like, that whole situation?
I mean, comfortable, I mean, like, obviously Julian's been going on visits for years and it started really early for him. Meeting Coach Prime was no different. I think there was a different level of probably the respect factor that he carries, when he talks to players in terms of been there, done that.
Yeah.
And then also obviously his ability to kind of help them through different situations, understanding for a kid like Jew, who in my opinion might be one of the most heavily scrutinized recruits in a long time in terms of, who he is, like. And I think Coach Prime, like, valued who Jew was, and I think he valued his ability to withstand all the noise. And I've kind of, I don't know if you've seen me on Twitter recently, but I think that's probably the thing about Jew that doesn't get talked about, in my opinion, enough, is just his ability to kind of go through all that and continue to perform at a high level, regardless of rankings going up or going down or anything else that went on, reclassification, additional academics, those kind of things. And talking to Prime was like, like, I understand those things. I understand the spotlight. I understand this stage. And, and I think one of the things that drew them to Julian was his ability to perform under pressure. And Coach Prime, like, one of the first things he said to me, and I'll never forget it, was he's like, he's been doing it since he was a shorty. And, like, he was like, like, since Jew was little, I mean, the expectation's always been to win. Like, he's never, from the time he stepped on a field at quarterback at 7 years old, he wasn't on a team where it was like okay to lose. He didn't have that period where it was like okay to, go 500. Like, no, the expectation was to win day one and to never lose.
Hey, top 10 on Rivals. I don't want to hear any complaints about rankings. I don't want to.
Oh, no.
We are the best.
You guys have always been nothing more than fair to him. Like, I understand the reclassification. I understand all those things. So
Yeah.
you guys have been nothing more than fair to him, for sure.
One of the things that stood out to me when I talked to him last was Deion was an important part of it, but so was Pat Shurmur, like getting into the playbook, understanding what they want on offense, like that level of maturity at quarterback. How important was it that, I mean, Coach Prime, the whole thing, but there's a lot more that goes into it in terms of preparation at quarterback,
1000%. I mean, that piece was huge. But again, like, if you go back to high school, like, we went to Carrollton. Joey King became the head coach. Joey King developed Trevor Lawrence in high school. I mean, like the expectation in high school, Jew carried a lot of responsibility as a 14-year-old kid on the field. And then, like being able to be developed by a coach who's obviously worked with multiple NFL quarterbacks and been an NFL OC. Obviously, even now for Julian getting into the playbook, there are a lot of things that he's already done in high school. There's responsibilities that he's familiar with. Things might be different, terminology might be different, but he understood that, ultimately if my goal is to play in the NFL, why not go get as much of it as I can now on this level? And that was the same decision we made in high school as well.
He got to go out there early, have the opportunity to be around Shedeur a little bit. What kind of words of wisdom were taught, just being around him to see how he handles himself? How valuable was that time with him before he went off to the NFL here?
I think they had a good time. Number one, I think the connection that they have. Shedeur, he's embraced the opportunity to mentor him, and he's been nothing more than gracious to him. That kind of thing. Jew spent quite a bit of time just sitting in meetings, and that was one of the things that, like, when you go back to like recruit visits and sitting in like a pregame meeting or something like that, like Jew enjoyed the way they met. He liked the amount of input that Coach Shermer, allowed his quarterbacks to have. And I think one of the things that he took from Shedeur was how well Shedeur was always prepared. And then like Shedeur's approach going into the games, was the piece that I wanted to make sure that he at least did his best to digest as much of it as he could, only being able to be around him for one game.
Last question. What did you buy to prepare for Boulder in the winter? A nice fur coat or a nice
Oh
long
no,
black
not
fur
at all.
coat?
No, it's crazy. Like, so I lived in Minnesota for years. Julian was actually born in Minnesota. And here, like I'm in Boulder right now, well, in Colorado right now, and
Yeah.
it's actually, I mean, it's cold in the mornings, but then it warms up during the day. Like that's one of their big selling points is 300 days of sunshine a year kind of thing. So no, I pretty much was already equipped. I actually bought a few more hats. You need hats.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
Nice. TC Lewis, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.